I'm here with Reshma Sohoni from Seedcamp. You're a partner at Seedcamp. Thanks for joining us this late in the day. But there's some good news in the UK.
Absolutely. We've beaten the US.
That's worthy of a video in and of itself. How in this instance I saw Mike Butcher's this is the days that Mike Butcher lives for. Like we've shown Silicon Valley. How exactly has London shown Silicon Valley?
So the government just announced a new entrepreneur visa program, or a startup visa program. So indeed, I think some of the movements that have been happening in the US certainly inspired all of us to take a closer look at the visa system here. And particularly, we've suffered from it a little bit in the past 4 years. So it's just amazing to have gotten to it so fast.
So as I understand it, April the 6th, the thing that Mike wrote about in his post, the big exciting thing is April the 6th, high potential entrepreneurs who have, I think it's quite a small amount, like it's like 50 grand or something, right?
Yeah.
Of investment will be able to get a visa to stay in the UK for how long?
Well, they get to be, so there's a tiering system, right? You need a certain amount of points over time. But this allows you to get onto that tier system, which previously £200,000 in investment to even get on that ladder, is versus that minimum they lowered to much lower, as long as obviously you get it from a reputable organization.
Now, what does that mean, a reputable organization?
So the UKTI is a quasi government. Well, it's partly government, and there's also private individuals within the UKTI organization. And they actually have one of the best views on all the different kind of accelerators like us that are in the ecosystem, and a great view of the ecosystem. So they'll be partly assessing who the reputable organizations are.
Okay, so it'll be a case-by-case thing. Somebody will say, I'm reputable, and they'll say, not so much, or yes.
Exactly. I mean, you need to balance between abuse of the system and and real entrepreneurs being able to come through. Because if there's too much abuse, we're going to go back to old guidelines and old systems, and that just won't be good for anybody.
Right. I mean, it seems like if you've got some money from a VC firm, you're pretty much golden. But how is I mean, it's too early to tell for sure. But how do you feel this will affect angel investment? Like if you've got 50 grand on a sort of friends and family round, that's not going to count. But if it's a recognized angel, is that going to be okay?
I think so, because again, I mean, so for example, Seedcamp would fall into the reputable organization, right? And I think they've got pretty much a white list of people who fall into that. Now that's me guessing in terms of angels, but I'm pretty sure that that's what's going to happen. So, and there's a lot of groups like Cambridge Angels and lots of seed investors as well who are investing pretty low amounts and coming together in various groups. So I think those will all generally pass through as well.
Now, this is, I mean, it's a very low barrier to entry now, and it seems like this is the new government in the UK, David Cameron's government, trying very hard to show that it's encouraging entrepreneurs. Is it going to work? I mean, was this the problem? Is that the UK would be flooded with investors, with entrepreneurs just like Silicon Valley, if only the visa wasn't a problem? Or is this just sort of a bit of a desperate attempt? Because are there that many entrepreneurs desperate to get into the UK and currently not able to?
Actually, yeah. Even with Seedcamp alone, because we encourage entrepreneurs to base themselves in hubs, London being an absolutely key hub. We've had problems in the past 4 or 5 years alone with at least a handful of companies with founders who can't get in because they're outside of the EU. And Google talks about how tough it is even for them to bring really top-notch engineers into the London office. And so it's not, that's the other bit of the new visa system, is exceptionally talented people. So this is definitely a problem. And I think that's why we were part of the system to try to do an overhaul, is because we experienced the problem. And, your question is right? Like, I don't think you jump on it and say, that's it, this is the panacea. But but it is it's one great step. It's the ecosystem builds over 10, 20 years, and it takes so many multiple points and people in that process and systems in that process. So the visa is one bit. 4 years ago, we were the only kind of pan-European accelerator. There's definitely more now. There's many more angel investors that have actually come from tech companies. So all of the ecosystem is going in the right direction.
So, I mean, is this, in the short term at least, obviously we all want, even I with my cynical sort of like expat hat on, we all want London to become this sort of great entrepreneurial hub. Is this in the short term more about founders who are already in London trying to get engineering and tech talent, or even big companies already in London? Is it less about getting entrepreneurs and more about the fact that it's getting CTOs in?
So I think that will happen, of course, but actually in our September 2010 class, there are a couple of founders from Croatia struggling to get in, and they've been working with the UKTI to help them settle in. So it'll immediately help these founders. And we every sort of session of Seedcamp, we get applications from outside EMEA, outside particularly EU, that want to come base themselves in London, and they can't so easily. So I think it's twofold.
So taking then finally a big step back and looking not just at this, but at the new government generally, sort of, David, for those in the US who might not, for whatever reason, follow UK politics, there's a new government, new Conservative government's come in. David Cameron, one of his pretty early on, did this big speech to sort of, particularly London, but UK tech entrepreneurs, talking about making Silicon Roundabout, or whatever the hell we're calling it now, or East London, this big hub for innovation and technology. Do you think, I mean, you kind of have to answer this with a yes, I realize, but do you think the new government gets it? Do you think this is that these steps are all like part of a bold strategy, or do you think it's like they're trying to be cool and trying to copy the US? Because I go both ways on it.
Yeah, I guess a flat yes answer isn't always, isn't helpful. So maybe a yes with an example.
That's what I like.
Yeah. So, they really started to, I guess I heard it best when they said it themselves is, when we've thought about listening to the venture community and the entrepreneur community, they've actually been listening to very big entrepreneurs in the sense of EasyJet and Marks and Spencer. I mean, those are massive companies now. They're far away from startup problems. And in terms of venture capital, they've listened a lot to the voices from private equity and even large VC funds. And they've really involved the grassroots guys, the small young entrepreneurs who really are employees of 2 to 10, and accelerators like us who are investing at volume. If Americans don't know us as well, kind of like the Y Combinator or Techstars type of group of people. So they really involved the grassroots, and I think that's where for me it felt like, okay, sitting in a lot of meetings and email conversations, it is going to make a difference.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've heard certainly from a couple of people today. I mean, one of whom admittedly was Saul Klein, so he kind of has to say this. But people giving like you guys and you specifically like credit for having helped like move this along. So you get this. So from your experience, they are genuinely listening and genuinely responding. It's not just like painting a pretty picture for entrepreneurs and for groups like yourself.
Absolutely, and they involved us in actual writing of it, right? So which is great. So it wasn't sort of listening to our words and then making it something so different that you don't recognize it anymore.
Congratulations for your involvement in it. Congratulations to London. This seems like a big step forward, and well done for beating the US. I mean, it helps when you have a slightly smaller government machine to have to deal with. I don't know how long the US's startup visa is going to take, but yeah, I mean, if there are any US entrepreneurs watching this and feel like starting a new company in the UK, I guess this is a big step.
I think it's actually going to be easier for a more bicontinental relationship, between Europe at large, but UK and the US. I think it's just going to make it easier for founders to hire and move across the two countries.
Yeah, well, let's hope so, because that's definitely the ideal scenario.
Yeah.
Reshma, thank you very much for again taking the time so late in the day, and congratulations again. And yeah, keep us posted on how it goes.
Thank you, and it's great to see you positive about the.
When there's good news, I'm as Mike Butcher as they come. I'm all over this, yeah, baby, and all that. No, this feels good occasionally to be able to legitimately say that we pulled something off that the US couldn't do, and let's have many more of those, and maybe one day I'll move back to East London and start celebrating Silicon Roundabout.
There you go. There you go.
Thanks.